Welcome in, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in tonight. We've got a great show lined up for you. Going to have a lot of fun. A couple of really cool guests coming on tonight, too, joining us. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I hope everybody's having a really great Friday night. And, yeah, we're going to have some fun here. Sorry, I had to do something there. Baker's going to yell at me about that. But, so, thanks a lot for being here. We, as always, have the Instagram star, the philanthropist, the only lady on all of the internet that has 2 planes and still hangs out with us, Gutters Pub. How you doing tonight, Gutters?
I'm doing awesome. I hope everybody's as happy to be here as I am. I can't wait to see what this all unfolds as we go through the night, because we're kind of doing a spontaneous call-in.
I know it. It's always fun like that. We know you like to be spontaneous. And as always, joining us tonight, we've got KJ, the country music sensation, recording artist, the celebrity herself. How you doing tonight there, KJ?
Hey, guys. Happy Friday. I'm excited about the night.
All right, we're waiting.
Woot woot.
There we go. We got the woot woot out of her. All right, without the woot woot, we can't start the show. And as always, we've got our token mad scientist, Old Man Builds. How you doing tonight, old man?
Oh, man, I'm excited. We get guests in the house. Man, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, too. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff to talk about, I am sure. And we have, as always, Baker down there running this show in the background. How you doing tonight, Baker?
I'm doing great. Week off, I think, served us no justice because I already forgot half the crap that I was supposed to do.
I know I had all kinds of stuff going wrong, too. 1 week, it's amazing what 1 week can make you forget. Yeah, imagine what years make you forget. And joining us tonight, we do have the Windabros. Windabros, super cool page. I was just checking them out. New friends of ours here. But how you doing tonight? We got John. How you doing tonight, John?
Doing great. Really excited to meet you guys and talk and have a good time tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be like a total jerk here, but I am horrible with names, and I can't read yours right now on the screen. Introduce yourself, buddy.
Doug. Doug Herbert. Nice to meet you. We're at the Windabros, and very excited to be here and talk about all things weird and spooky tonight.
I love it. All right, well, we'll let some people flow in. We'll play another little clip here, and we'll get this thing started here in just a second. All right, let me say hi to some of you fine people coming in. And we really do appreciate everybody being here tonight. Who we got here in the chat? We got Dispatch Center. What's going on, Dispatch? As always, good to see you, brother. We got Gumby coming in here. How you doing, Gumby? Anyway, Song. What is going on? Anyway, Song. Matt Dummett coming up in here. Good to see you, Matt Dummett. Karen from HR coming in here, checking on us. We got the Noticer. Good to see you, the Noticer. Flatty, what's going on? Flatty, as always, good to see you as well. We got Katie and Old Man Bill's in there. We got Johnny K coming into the chat too. Sun Honey Studios, good to see you, Sun Honey. Seagull Rock, good to see you, Seagull. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights, good to see you, Daniel Barry. Who else we got coming in here? If Beer and Backroads was a person, what is up, buddy? We got Debbie Webb in here too. Straight Dope, what's going on? Straight Dope, good to see you, buddy. Let's see who else we got coming in here. Courtney, good to see you, Courtney, as well. We'll be saying hey to people all night long. If I miss your name, I'm not trying to. Multi, what is going on? Multi, how you doing? Let's see. We got Nightbot in here throwing out, all kinds of nonsense like she always does. Sun Honey Studio, good to see you, Sun Honey. Who we got? Let's see. What's going on down? We got 3D Havoc coming in here. Good to see you, 3D. We got Dice Gay in here too. Good to see you, buddy. Don't know about your name, but, whatever. Lays and Blaze coming in here. Good to see you, Lays and Blaze. Let's see what else we got going on. Courtney, yeah, if I missed your name, didn't mean to. And we're going to start the show here in just a moment.
You're listening to the ASN Podcast Network.
All right, so here we go, guys. Thanks a lot for being here once again. Please make sure everybody has hit that thumbs up button. If whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching here on Traveling Fools, Gutters Pub, Old Man Bill's, I think it's still streaming live on LW's as well, even though he had to run. Hope his daughter's feeling better. So let's jump straight into this. Windabros. So you're the guest here tonight. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. John, you want me to go first, or do you want to talk about it?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So we are a Northeast Tennessee paranormal investigative group, but we are a little bit differing than I guess a lot of our other paranormal teams that are out in this way. It's not to discredit anybody, but we go after all things weird, all things strange. We started out not unlike you guys. We actually started out on Twitch almost as a coast-to-coast AM podcast where we just talk about weird news. And so the way that came about is we just had a lot of folks really interested in the Appalachia area. And with that, it started out as very jokey, very fun, which, we still laugh at each other quite a bit. But now we are in the threshold of having people, directly message us and saying, hey, I think I've seen Bigfoot in my backyard. I'm pretty sure I've had a ghost run up to my vehicle. I think my antique shop is haunted. I believe in dealing with poltergeists. And I think, John and I, we've had cases all the way up to something called quantum immortality. So we've gone from really just nothing on Twitch to being expanded to everywhere. And now we're kind of a full-fledged team of 5 members. So John and I are the founding members. And now we have a total of 5 now. So it's really blown up quite a bit especially the past year, whenever we've sponsored our first convention out here in Bristol, Tennessee. Bristol, Virginia, I'm sorry. And that was the Salsas Over Appalachia Festival. I think we were a very popular booth because we were the only booth not selling anything. Unless we were just talking about stories and weird happenings and letting people share their stories with us.
Yeah, it was really good. One of the things we started doing was we would look at, paranormal videos and things like that. And we kind of got in the habit of trying to debunk them, like point out the stuff that was just really blatantly fake, and so it's kind of carried over into the things that we do, and we're more or less trying to find out if there's actual legitimate reasons for the things that are going on with these people, and one of the best ways to do that is to actually get to sit down and talk to people and kind of get some personal stories and kind of get to know them. And you can tell pretty quick if they're just telling you a good story versus whether or not they really believe it and it's something that could have legitimately happened. And so that's one of the things we like to do.
Absolutely.
Right. I think with all things like that, I agree with you there. When you see something like that, the first thing you have to look for is signs that it's BS. You know what I mean? Like you first got to start there and try to disprove something scientifically, logically, anything like that before you go in and just buy in. Oh my God, this is it. And then break yourself down, because it's probably, you're trying to not discredit. I hate to use that word because you don't really want to discredit people, but you want to look for that and then find that 10%, 5% that is unexplainable. And that's my opinion. I don't know what's yours.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and I'm glad John brought that up. We're very scared sometimes to use the word debunk, and not to cast shade or anything. And then hopefully, we're open enough to say that. I think and we tell this joke a lot, is whenever we did our first convention, we had a lot of people reluctant to even talk to us. And the big reason was are you guys like Zach Bagans? Is what we got a lot of. And we said, no, not at all. Actually, we don't just hear an immediate sound or something falling down and say, oh, well, it's something that goes bump in the night. It's obviously a spirit. If we go into a dilapidated building and we hear something fall, it's probably the weight of 5 members being there, stomping through an old building, and things are just falling apart on us. So, like I said, John summed it up very well. We handle everything with a very strong sense of scrutiny. I would say the Euroshrine, which is our most recent episode, we were and John can probably attest to this too. We were told that it was going to be the most insurmountable amount of evidence we'll ever have. It'd be one of the most frightening places that we'll ever go to, and it was really built up to us to be, this beast. And whenever we got there, I think that there is something abnormal about it, but at the same time, though, we found it to be very peaceful, to be very nice. It's a Shinto shrine. They practice Shintoism there, and we got a completely different perception of, if you go there and you're probably meditative, yeah, you're probably going to experience some things, but I don't think that they're going to be bad. I think that psychologically, a lot of the stuff plays in your mind. We're a weird group. We have more case files under our belts than before we even started going into the media side of things. And a lot of what we found most of it was psychological, especially the cases that we truly believe where there was something happening, there was something psychological going on. And I think that's very important to differentiate that too. Not that we don't believe. I would say John and I, out of the 5 members, we are probably the more adamant believers, and we believe that we believe something's happening.
Yeah.
So tell me about this Shinto. A lot of people probably, I don't know if people know what Shinto really is. And maybe I'm a little, maybe don't know, but I know it's Japanese, right? A Japanese religion. More of a, is that right? Is that
the way that they describe it is not necessarily as religion, because there's nothing necessarily organized about Shintoism. It's more of an indigenous faith. It believes in nature. It believes in spirits. And it's not unlike, in a lot of ways, of what you would probably akin to Buddhism, to what you would akin to Wiccan, which John is probably more attuned to the Wiccan side of things than I am. But Shintoism is all about respecting, buildings, respecting nature. And then it has something called the kami, which is the spirit of everything. And even in Japan, local businesses, they even have kamis within their business. And it could be a business god, it could be a money god. They have many different gods within that. I believe that Rick over at the Yura Shrine, he had, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, John, he had what was an ancient samurai god that was actually into the top level of the building. And again, it always strikes me as strange when you take essentially Shintoism and it does practice a lot of pagan faith over there at the Yura Shrine, but for the most part, it's really meant to be more of a mood ring, to where if you go in with bad energy, that place is supposed to balance it out. So we always found it strange that whenever we were going in there, to have folks tell us that this is one of the most supernatural and scariest places you'll go to, where it's not really meant to be that. It's meant to actually neutralize a lot of the bad energy that goes in there. And you're supposed to really, if you're doing everything right, you should leave with a lot of good vibes and good energy on that too. That was probably our most extensive episode. I always warn people, I say, be ready if you watch that. It's over 2 hours long. But we really went through, a huge list of things. John and I sit in there trying to gauge how we could. And what they had there was the dragon table. And we did a psychological eval on every member that sat at that table, to where we alternated different sides of that table. And John, you can probably speak more about the sides of the table than I can. Do you?
Yeah, so this table, he had scientists and different people come in and specially build this table. There were 7 different layers in this concrete table that they made, and there was like holy dirt, there was magnetic dust, there was I'm pretty sure that somebody put blood in it. It had a bunch of different supposedly magical layers that was built to it, and each side was meant to represent something. There was a light side and a dark side of the table, and so we would take turns sitting on either the light side or the dark side, and then on either end, where you had, dark on your left, light on your right, and vice versa. And it was really interesting to kind of just go in there and relax a little bit and see just exactly if you really did feel any differently sitting around this table. And of course, we had different compasses and different other electrical devices, and they were going nuts. And of course, he said, "Yeah, we have all this ferrous compound in the table, so of course, like, it's going to make different electronics go nuts. It's like a big magnet." So that was interesting, and since all of our thoughts are based around electricity and electrical impulses in our brain, it's not surprising that different kind of magnetic energies might make you feel a little different going around this table. It was very interesting.
Now, let me ask: is this in Appalachia, where this is, or?
Yeah, and it tends to surprise a lot of people whenever you talk about that, because they always say, there's a Shinto shrine in Bristol, Tennessee, and we found out about this year. So we were actually at a Smoky Mountain Terror Con, and I had found out about the Euro shrine there, and I remember going to the guys and saying, I have to get in here, and I'm like, and they've had pretty major teams go there and look at it. So I said, it may be kind of hard to get in there. I think that, it took me maybe a day to get a hold of Rick, probably an hour-long conversation, then us actually going to an herbology class to really get a feel for it. And then, Rick and all of us were like, yeah, let's make this happen. But yeah, it is a traditional Shinto shrine located in Bristol, Tennessee. It's very private, it's very secretive, and as far as, who they let in. And Rick has a saying that if you're not meant to be there, you won't get there. He has stated multiple times that there have been pretty big paranormal teams that have tried to get in there and have had car troubles or sickness fall on them, and they've had to cancel last minute. And he said it's happened multiple times. So we were very grateful that the good chi or energy allowed us to actually enter the Euro Shrine for there too. But they are very selective. We do encourage folks to actually go there and experience it for themselves. But, obviously do the respectful thing. Don't just Google map it and just pull up there, but, contact them. And right now, their main paranormal group that actually allows for the tours are the Tennessee Shadow Chasers group, which is also another Northeast Tennessee paranormal group.
Yeah, I would have never the only shrine I knew of in Bristol was Thunder Valley. I didn't know. The NASCAR shrine there. What is it? The fastest half mile or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure KJ knows all about that. She's the race girl there. So
Yeah, no.
But
I know what you're talking about in Bristol. Yeah.
Now, have you ever gone to the race in Bristol?
I haven't. No, I've been to Talladega.
Of course you have.
In Bama. Yeah. Hallowdega.
Yeah.
I dressed up, whatever.
Yeah, don't tell everybody about that one. You might
Dude,
want to
was so
stop
much
while
fun.
you're behind.
It's okay. Hey, we were actually anyway. We're not going to go.
Right.
Wait,
but this
now
is
I want to
super
know.
Uh-oh, getting bad. So let me ask you guys this. So have you had any genuinely scary encounters with anything? I mean, what's the scariest thing that you've ever come across with people reaching out to you or anything like that?
I can go in for that for a while, but John, have you doing anything with me? Have you had anything scary happen so far?
Not really, no. I mean, the scariest things are things that we found after the fact. When we were going there, we were recording, we were doing things, and I'm not talking about the Shinto shrine. I'm just talking about in general. We've gone there's a place called Sensabaugh Tunnel here in Northeast Tennessee, and it's a big local legend. There's a big story. There's multiple stories behind it, but we went there. A lot of kids go there. It's like a big teenager thing, and so we hadn't gone in a long time, and so we wanted to go there, and we didn't hear or feel anything strange while we were there. It might have felt a little weird. It kind of got a little cold, but it wasn't anything frightening. And it wasn't until later that we kind of went back and Doug went back and dug through the audio files of the recordings and found some interesting things. But scary, like paranormal, I haven't personally found.
Yeah, it's for that though, and John's right about that. It wasn't necessarily scary while we were there. The thing is, Sensabaugh Tunnel is kind of like a coming of age story for a lot of locals around here. it's a very popular spot. And so, you know, we were going there really as just kind of a fun gimmick kind of deal. And if you talk to anybody, no, it's not haunted, or yeah, it's the most haunted place that you'll ever go to. Whenever we were there, we didn't really experience anything, but, you know, and I'm not sure how profane we can actually get on here, but the EVPs that we got were incredible.
You can say anything you want, you know.
So Cinderball Tunnel is not a fan of the Window Bros, and so whenever John and I were in there, we managed to catch a fairly compelling EVP that said these guys look like assholes. And it was, and I said, there's no way that happened. John was like, well, how did you even hear that? And I said, well, whenever I was editing, I kept hearing whispering, so isolated it, increased it, slowed it down, and that's precisely what it came out. So,
dude, that's hilarious.
You know, it's funny though is that whenever I posted that, you know, we got a lot of "you guys are so fake," and I said, man, you know, I posted it as a good laugh because we did laugh.
Right.
At it.
Sure, I would.
But it was, you guys are such assholes. And then the ghosts were saying, like, you know, if you want to call them ghosts, you know, that's so fucking rude. And, you know, we're like, what is going on, you know?
Were they having a conversation by themselves or talking directly at you?
I love
well, you know, and so, like, John was actually probably the biggest conduit there that night. You know, he actually had the most EVPs on his end. And there's a part in our video that we're editing right now where he's walking into the tunnel. And, you know, and we take everything that we use with a grain of salt. You know, we don't typically go after like a lot of like ghost equipment. A lot of the stuff that you have, it can be, you know, it can be recreated through other means. So, but we were using an app called Spirit Talker. And when John was using it, it said something along the lines of, you know, be very quiet. And John said, well, I'm trying to be very quiet. But I asked you to show me proof. Are you going to show me proof? Well, away from the Spirit Talker app and right through his hot mic, because we wear wireless mics, you know, away from each other. It comes in, you know. Well, he says that now, and pretty much like wait till he finds out, you know. And we were like, this can't be real. And we always get mad whenever we actually find evidence because, like John said, we're the guys that go in there and try to debunk more than prove. So we're very proud of the fact that we have debunked a lot. We're also proud and kind of reluctant that we found things, and we're like, oh man, like, you know, we're trying to be legitimate here, and you know, but I guess we are. You know, as far as my scariest case though, and it was one that I still get chills about, that would have been the shots of 1910. And if you're out in Georgia, that would be in Chickamauga, Georgia. And that was a very creepy case that I had. And it was one of those things where you kind of feel a very dark presence. And at that time, this was our first real investigation. I was doing this with my wife, and we were actually going there to talk a little bit about the green eyes. So green eyes is a lot of folks confuse green eyes with a cryptid. Green eyes is actually an old Civil War spirit.
Hey, real quick, just to that comment there. Somebody was asking what EVTs was in the chat. You want to just tell them what that is so they know?
Yeah,
and,
electronic voice phenomenon. So if you have an EVP, it just means that there would be a voice on whatever kind of audio capture device that you have. So an EVP wouldn't be something like an app that you would use. It would have to be something that's raw and genuine coming through on that. So like if you're using like a hot mic and it goes through your camera or through the audio on that, or if you're using a digital recorder, it would typically be what your EVP is on that. So it would be any kind of voice phenomena that would not be related or correlated to your voice that's happening at that time.
Right. And Baker, I don't know if y'all just met too. We all just met, so you know this was kind of spur of the moment here. Baker's big into capturing stuff like that as well and isolating those. So I'm sure you guys could have a blast talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Well,
So
back
sorry.
to green eyes. Yeah.
Back to green eyes. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Just didn't want anybody in the chat.
I talk too much.
Well, no,
No,
that's a good thing.
No, it's good.
So Green Eyes, so we were invited to the Green Eyes Festival, and at that time, we had another member, and him and John were kind of handling Northeast Tennessee while I was handling Georgia while I lived out there. And then we would pretty much have like a weird news podcast, anything that we found weird, or, you know, watching live videos and trying to debunk them. And so at that time, and we were trying to get into the realm of, you know, actually actively going after things and looking for things. And so we got invited to the Green Eyes Festival just to go there and talk to the folks that were running it. And that's a convention out in Chickamauga, Georgia. And so I was, you know, in the middle of, you know, and Georgia heat is no joke. It's, you know, it was about 110, 113 degrees that day and high humidity. And so I was trying to cool off. So I walked into an antique shop called the Shops of 1910. And they had a sign on the doors that asked about our haunted ghost tours. And so my wife was like, you know, go ask them about it. And so I did. The owner's name was James. And he had said, you know, yeah, you should come out to one of our ghost tours one night. I told him who we were, that we were Window Bros. We were starting up at the time. And I said, well, you know, be cautious, because we usually go in there and try to debunk. You know, we're not going to come in here and run around screaming. And I would say, you know, that's one thing I'm pretty thankful for with our group, is that not that we have nerves of steel. It's just, you know, we typically go in pretty good nature, and we more or less don't laugh at the places that we go to. We laugh at each other, because we're typically bumbling around on that end. And so during this, he said, well, if you don't believe me, I want you to go up to the Freemasons room on the second level of the building. And this used to be an old bank converted into an antique shop. And I said, well, is there anything I should know? He goes, I don't really want to tell you about it. I just want you to go up there and just tell me if you feel anything or see anything. And then if you like it, come back, and you know, you don't even have to pay for the ghost tour. You know, we'll keep the group away from you. You guys can go live on Twitch or however you want to do it. And, you know, as I'm walking, you know, I ended up breaking a big statue, because, you know, I'm 6'1", 220, and I just lumbered around at a big antique store and knocked it over. And I said, well, this is going to be my payment for the ghost tour. So I went ahead and I got the owl statue hanging up right now, but I glue it back together. So we go up to the Freemasons room, and I'm up there, and my wife, you know, who is one of our staunch skeptics, and doesn't really buy anything. She's like, you know, did you feel that? And I said, well, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you know, the back of your hair just lifted completely up. And I said, I didn't feel anything. So, you know, first thing I do is I go to the windows. I'm messing with the windows, and the windows are nailed shut. It's stifling hot in there, so there's no air circulation or anything. And take a picture. And, you know, I usually, and that's like the big thing, are like orbs. Like orbs are, you either believe them or you don't. 9 times out of 10, it's dust or spray particles. And so whenever I snapped the picture, it was the only solitary orb that I got. It was a giant, huge orb, but it almost had like a nucleus in it. And I said, well, that's really strange. And then I was able to photograph what appeared to be an elderly lady's face peering out of a closet in there. And I went downstairs. I said, okay, you know, we'll take a look at it. And at that point, I wasn't sold. And so we come back, and about a week, and we get there about 9 o'clock. So we're there from like 9 to 1. And we had and you always know that you're in for a fun night whenever all your equipment starts failing. At that time, you know, we had very low end equipment. We didn't have anything substantial. And so it was just a cell phone. It was just, I think, just a wireless mic, and a very cheap very cheap EMF detector that you can get on Amazon. So we were just like, okay, let's have fun with it. And we go in there, we're live streaming, and the live stream cuts off about halfway. Now, what I thought was, we were able to debunk like the first half of the night, like pretty much right away. And what we found was old electrical wires, you know, a lot of power circuits, a lot of old battery operated equipment that was going way off. We didn't really get anything. We had folks saying that they were hearing footsteps, which it turned out that, you know, there was more than a few people in there. We were able to recreate that with a lot of the guests there. And so during that time, you know, again, there was no air conditioning in there. So I start, you know, kind of overheating and take a cold bottle of water outside. Whenever I get outside, you know, I felt something just hit me in the back, and I said, well, you know, what the hell was that? And And I'm telling my wife, I'm like, something just stung me or stabbed me or whatever. And she goes, well, there's nothing there. And so I lift up my shirt, and there's like a giant welt on my back with a stinger sticking out of it. And typically I wouldn't put that together, but it was actually a honeybee at about 11 o'clock at night stung me. And typically honeybees won't just right away sting you unless, like, you know, they're in danger or if they're threatened. And if they do sting you, they usually die because their cortex usually rips right in half. And and my wife picked it up, and she goes, it was a honeybee, you know, like of all things, you know, just a solitary honeybee. So I'm trying to play it cool, but I'm allergic to it. And so I'm, you know, having trouble breathing, you know, can't really catch my breath, and go back inside. I told James, I said, man, do you have a honeybee problem around here or anything? And no, we just had the exterminator come out. There shouldn't be an issue on that. And you know, go back inside, and I go into their dining room, and I say, you know, I'm feeling really weird. I don't feel good. And it was, you know, it was a pretty bad allergic reaction. So I'm having trouble breathing, but we're live. And so I'm trying to play it cool, you know, no big deal. And at that point, we get a little old lady come up to us, and she has one of the spirit boxes. And she goes, well, my spirit box has caught something really strange, and James told me to show you. And I said, well, what was it? And she said, well, it said internet influencers. And I said, okay. And she goes, are you guys the Windabros? I said, yeah, we're the Windabros. But at that time I said, you know, we're really nobodies. We don't have much of a following or anything at all. And she goes, well, you know, something's here that knows that you guys are internet influencers. You guys are online right now. And so I said, okay, well, that's really cool. Like, thank you for sharing that. Still not sold at that time. So we go upstairs, and at that time, everybody's clearing out. They're letting us continue our investigation. And whenever we get up there, there's some dolls up there. And this was actually lost footage that I just recently found, thank God, on an old GoPro that I have. And we get upstairs, and these dolls are not battery operated. It was cribs and just baby dolls. And my EMF detector just starts going absolutely insane. And so I'm like over there, like, you know, panicking. I'm like, they have to be electric, you know. So I'm like, you know, just pulling the backs of these dolls. That's like Chucky, you know, trying to see if the battery is still in there. And no, I mean, there was absolutely virtually nothing in there. And the cribs were going insane, and there was no electrical components about them. They were extremely vintage, extremely antique. And I'm like, well, you know, and at that point, our stream completely cuts out and phone dies on that end. And so we decided to finish the night at the Freemason room, which is where it all kind of began. And we go in there, we're getting very nonsensical answers, you know, nothing really crazy. And then it goes, can't breathe. And at that time, I didn't really think about it, but I was struggling to breathe. But the Spirit Talker app actually said, you know, can't breathe. And, you know, I'm like, well, oh shit, you know, like this thing might be responding. And it was at one point downstairs, I said, I hope I'm not doing anything, or I'm going to get something attached to me. I don't even believe this stuff, but I don't want to have anything attached to me. Well, at that point, the Spirit Talker app says, you know, I'm attached. And I mean, it was just a cold chill on the left side of my body. And I went into full preacher mode, because I'm saying, like, you know, in the name of Jesus, no, you're not attached to me. And as soon as I put my hand down on the table, all the lights in the room completely go out. And so our GoPro dies, both of our flashlights die, and the flashlights we were using are very high end, charging all night. So everything went out at the same time, and you can gradually see everything keep getting darker and darker in the room until, you know, we're pretty much sitting in pitch black, you know, trying to comprehend what we're dealing with here. So at the end of it, you know, it's I go, well, I think I figured it all out. It just all seemed a bit too, and at the moment I said it all seems a bit too, the Spirit Talker app goes relevant. And that's whenever I just cut everything off. And that was the only time I ever went downstairs, and I looked at somebody and I said, hey, I think that you might be haunted. You know, and that was the only occasion I can say that I've ever dealt with what I feel personally to me was, you know, a true haunting. And I felt weird for about 3 days after that. And whenever, you know, we came back, and what we do is every time we visit a place, we make a really nice case file. and we drop it off. And whenever I got there, he was kind of upset. And I said, well, what's the problem? And he said, well, ever since you guys came, we've had no more paranormal activity. And I said, well, I'm not sure if I should be happy or sad about that. He goes, well, it's bad because we're not having any ghost tours because there's no paranormal activity. And they closed down about a month later after that. So,
So I keep thinking about the old lady's face.
Yeah.
Then the honeybee.
Yeah.
She was in love with you. The honeybee was the kid. That's all she needed. She was done.
Yeah.
Story's over.
I guess
bada
so.
boom, bada bang.
Yeah. As far as scary goes, that's the only scary thing I can truly say that has happened for the bros. So on my end.
Oh.
Yeah, and I mean that's good too. At least you look at it from a direct on. A lot of people
logic,
with logic involved. A lot of people go into these kind of things and they create things in their mind wanting to find. You know what I mean? They want to find something so bad that they create it in their mind. Which discredits the things that you might find that are unexplainable.
Yeah. And I think that typically the only time we've had people truly get angry with us is whenever we've gone in there and have proven something's not going on. We get a lot of angry people with that end. And, I'll send the screenshots to John of me debunking something. And it's like, we'll pray for you guys. We hate you. And it's like, well, that's kind of an oxymoron.
Wow. I bet people do get mad.
They do, and I think
yeah.
the sense of they want to, and it's important that we believe in things, but at the same time that it's important that we use our best judgment in order to truly find what's out there. So I think our most unbelievable, I think our the things that we believe, John and I believe the most, are the things that are probably the most unbelievable.
So I've got a question. You guys use a Ovilus or spirit boxes, right? You use both?
We do. We use an Ovilus and a spirit box.
So how do you... I have a hard time believing that, especially the spirit box, because my background is radio frequency. I have a hard time believing that that's actually legitimate. Now, EVPs, absolutely. I have heard some things that I can't explain. As Fools alluded to earlier, I've done that plenty of times in my past. But when it comes to the spirit boxes and or the ghost speak and spell, as I call it, I don't know. I have a hard time believing those. To me, it just seems that one's a stretch for me.
I'm going to throw in and say that I agree, but because there's been a whole lot of rubbish that we've gotten from the spirit talks, but the only times that we ever really talk about it or use it are when because it is kind of random, and that's kind of what what I've looked into and investigated about it is that it is supposed to be random, like noises that are supposed to hopefully be affected by any kind of spirit, and we don't really take it into account unless personally I want to hear at least 3 different times that the spirit box has answered, and it's been a legitimate answer, not even like a half answer or vague. I'm not going to buy into it unless it happens more than once, at least 3 times, personally.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that was kind of where I was getting at. It's not that I'm trying to discredit the use of it. I'm sure there is a use case, especially like if you're deep in a cave where all your radio frequencies are being blocked. And then if you pick up something while it's sweeping, okay, I'm listening. But when you're doing these fast sweeps across, various bands, and every now and then you're going to hit a commercial on the radio that sounds just like words, you can kind of make it up. Mm-hmm. So I've had a rough time. You watch these ghost hunters on television, more specifically, the Ghost Adventure Crew. They use that box, and I'm just like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah,
you're in downtown Los Angeles using this thing. There's no freaking way that's going to, I wouldn't trust any of the data you get from it.
No, and I think you're 100% correct about that. I think a lot of it is that you have to take with a grain of salt, and we have seen people, use those, and and believe everything that comes out of them. I think, I think John has a general rule of, if anytime we go into place and we're using like electronics, we try to remind each other to put everything on airplane mode. And then on top of that, we always, and my personal rule is, we have to make sure that it's, one, an intelligent response. And then two, if we look for like what we would consider like fully formed sentences, if it's just a random off kilter, word, I think the word is a pareidolia, that your mind's going to fabricate certain things.
Yeah.
And that
like a cloud, seeing an elephant in a cloud or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Fools, you learned that from me.
What's that? Elephants?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think one of the words I got when we were in the Sensabaugh tunnel was ketoacidosis, and I was like, "Are you for real? Like, what does that have to do with anything right now?"
Yeah, I've actually been trying to avoid gluten as much as possible, so it's.
But for us little people, can I get a spirit box? Can you just give me a little info on that?
Yeah, so for that though, I mean, typically what we do, we're a little bit unorthodox. So
I don't even know what it is.
So a spirit box is essentially going to have AM, FM sweeping on there. So it's going to rapidly sweep between AM, FM, and then the thought process behind that is that essentially everything sweeping back and forth with the frequencies that are being operated, that the spirit world could somehow manipulate that as well too.
Okay.
So as it's going through and sweeping, it can pick out essentially words from that frequency and try to form sentences or words from that in order to communicate.
I gotcha. I never heard of that.
You've never heard of a spirit box?
Why would I have heard
She only
of a
knows
spirit
what
box?
a wine box
What?
is.
Yep.
That's actually not true. I like beer, but whatever.
Got her box of Ernest
and
and
wine.
Julio
I mean, let's
Gallo.
not get ourselves.
That's what a
But-
spirit box is to Katie. KJ.
What
It's
a
box
jerk,
of
dude.
wine.
What a jerk. Wow. If LW was here, you son of a gun.
Right.
Hey, there's a reason why we call you Boone's Farm.
Oh my gosh. I used to love Boone's Farm. I can't deny that. I used to be at place. That was back in the day. But
Her
anyway,
nickname-
no,
her
I didn't know what a
nickname-
spirit.
Blue
Don't
Jean
tell
Betty.
me. Yes.
Her nickname in high school was Strawberry Hill.
Well,
So do you guys ever play things
What a
backwards?
dick. But seriously, like everybody knows what a spirit box is. Please.
Okay.
It's a good band. So I think I heard your question. Have we ever tried to play anything backwards? And we always try to play everything backwards. Every time we get an EVP, we always try to play it backwards, especially if it sounds like gibberish. There's only been one time, and that was Sensabaugh. And whenever we reversed the gibberish, the EVP came back to us as "I'm lost now," and it was a female voice. So that was actually the same time whenever we heard "They look like assholes," and then you had gibberish right after that, and then when we reversed that, it said "I'm lost now." So
That's sad, actually.
it was actually Sensabaugh is kind of a strange story in general. I suppose the true story behind Sensabaugh is that old man Sensabaugh actually used to get frustrated with all the kids in the tunnel, hanging out and doing whatever. And so he would hang out the end of the tunnel and actually scream at kids, make them believe that it was haunted so they would run away. So that's the true story.
So, yeah,
That's
hold on.
funny.
So picture this real quick, just because we know what Sensabaugh Tunnel is, just so you and all the listeners can understand. So we're talking about a windy road in the back hills, like off of the city. There's barely any street lights, and you're literally like winding around back here, and you come to a tunnel in the side of a mountain, and there's a train that goes above it, way above it, but it's just a big concrete tunnel, and you turn around and you drive through. There's water running along it because there's a river that runs alongside of it, and if it overfloods the downspout down there, then it will go through the tunnel, and it's just this big, long, I'd say maybe 50-foot tunnel, and as you come out of it and you just barely veer to the right to follow the road, there's a huge white plantation house in front of you. and it's the only house you can
Nice.
see for a little bit, and there's like woods everywhere, and so it just kind of is a spooky environment to begin with,
Mhm.
and so that kind of that I wanted y'all to understand, see that picture, so that you can kind of understand the story that Doug's explaining to you.
It
Yeah,
sounds
that's
like
cool.
it sounds like Batman's house.
Right.
Like somebody pissed off Batman and he's cussing
Yeah,
at everybody for coming up the driveway.
What
Yeah.
was it? Old mining? What was that tunnel for?
Oh, it was just
Because if it
where
was only,
they had mined through the tunnel to
Mhm.
create the road because there was a railroad that went over there. The location it's in Kingsport, and it was a big port around the early the Civil War era. A lot of business came up and down the river, and so they made sure to have a lot of trains that came through there as well, so that they could offload that and
And where
unload.
is this located?
It's in Kingsport, Tennessee. It's in northeast Tennessee.
Okay.
You can look it up. I'm sure you can find pictures of Sensabaugh Tunnel, and it's just a really creepy place. But that's you're supposed to go, and if you drive through the tunnel and turn your car off, and then it won't start again. Or you might see like handprints on the window, and you might hear somebody behind you,
Mhm.
and that's kind of where Doug was going with the old man Sensible. Is probably just getting tired of people coming
Mhm.
around his house late at night, being loud.
Get out of here.
Pretty much, but every place has a ghost story. So, like, the ghost story behind it was that there's two different variations of it, and I think John's probably better at it than I am. But on that end, the ghost story behind it was that there was a burglar that actually broke into Old Man Sensiball's house, and unalive the wife, and then kidnapped the child, and then drowned the child into the ravine that was actually running through it.
Jeez.
And then the other story of that is the same story, except it was Old Man Sindabal himself that unalived the wife and the child. So it's the same concept of that, and just so there is no documented proof that there was ever a crime like that committed. That there was just a very grumpy old man that got tired of kids playing in the tunnel,
Aw.
and so and I guess the third ghost story is that they're trying to scare kids away today. So
Yeah, he's
Gotcha.
still there.
Yeah, it sounds like that Home Alone, where they're like, the old man killed his family,
oh yeah,
and it turns out that they just didn't have a good relationship, But
yep, that's
look
it.
at, that's
There you
it.
go. Yeah.
There's your tunnel right there.
Cool.
Rob.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the drive-through tunnel. So there's technically 3 tunnels, but there's two that are considered the most famous. So that's your drive-through tunnel. So essentially your pass-through tunnel, and then there's an additional tunnel called the Big Elm Hill Tunnel, and it's just it's probably like less than half a mile up past that, John.
Yeah. You have to literally park off the side of the road.
Yeah.
They've put boulders up along the easy access side of the road, so we had to walk like a quarter mile to go to it. But it again is a tunnel that goes under the mountain that they built, for trains. But it like this, it has a river running along it, and there's just like a very, very narrow sidewalk that runs along one side, just so workers could get from one side to the other. There's a lot of tunnels like that around here that like farmers would use for their livestock, especially like where they put the interstate in. There's tons of like tunnels that go underneath roads and mountains like that.
That's
It
cool.
looks
I
like
love
you could
Tennessee.
go. Yeah, it looks like you could go trout fishing in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the scariest part about there is probably the locals coming out to stare at you and saying, "What the hell are you doing in there?" So,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
we're planning on making a trip back there because we've actually lost a little bit of footage on that end. We've already done 2 shoots there, but luckily we were able to retain all the EVPs and stuff too. So that's been good on that end.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
those tunnels, and you have to honk your horn when you go through tunnels. That's always the fun thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like you get
or
up there,
rev
and
up
like
your engine.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
hold
you
my
rev
breath.
your engine. Oh, you pick your feet up when you cross the state line. I know, like every time
The
you go to
railroad tracks, bro.
Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge or something, you always got to go to those tunnels, and everybody's like meet, 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 meet. Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah, I love Tennessee. I think it's a very cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tennessee's a beautiful, beautiful state. Really,
Mhm.
It
I
is.
like Tennessee.
Yeah,
Hey, so I've
it's
got
super cool.
another kind of question that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the spirit box. But are you guys familiar with the Estes method?
Yeah.
Have you at least tried that? And
Oh, yeah.
did you get mixed results, or would you still say your results are a little bit
I would
unreliable?
say for the most part on the Estes method, it was definitely inconclusive on a lot of what we have done. And I remember one, like the tunnel that you actually showed, we went in there and it was, I think we got something along the lines of the devil lives here. And I was like, well, that's just nonsense. It's, it's
Yeah.
just a scare tactic at that end.
We could
For people that don't know what the Estes method is, could you kind of break down what you guys did to do that experiment?
Yeah, so the way we do that is that we use noise canceling headphones. We don't do the blindfold. Traditionally, what you see is that you'll do a blindfold around your eyes, and you'll do the noise canceling headphones, and you'll have a spirit box connected to the headphones, and you will repeat back. Try to repeat back intelligent responses or see if anything correlates to it. So typically John or one of our other team members will ask questions. I'll be within the Estes method. And it's, again, just sensory deprivation. So that way it negates any idea of outside influence to make sure that, you're yielding a different type of result. In my opinion, I don't think that it's anything that should be, I don't think it's any different than listening to a spirit box as a group. I think that it could be a little bit controversial because you could have possibly somebody making things up, as they're wearing those and just kind of blurting out things that are popping into their head. On that end, we don't use the blindfold because, obviously I don't think if you're listening to audio and you're blindfolded, I don't think it really makes a difference on that end either. We've done the Estes method. I think whenever we did the Euro Shrine, so there's a doll called Robert the Doll, and I think you have to say hello, Robert, whenever you talk about him. But hello, Robert. There's a doll out in Florida called Robert the Doll, supposedly a cursed doll. And whenever we were at the Euro Shrine, there's a doll there named Sally. And Sally is what they consider a benevolent spirit attached to it. There's nothing inherently negative about Sally. You just have to ask for her permission to take pictures. And so whenever we got there, we were trying to remember the name of Robert the Doll, and we couldn't remember the name. And so we said, well, Sally reminds us of that doll in Florida. And so whenever we were peering into the Oni Shrine outside, I was doing the Estes method with our other team member named Greg, and just saying random things. And then my name was Robert came through, and so that was one where I was like, oh, that's kind of clever, And so whenever I heard that, I said, oh, Robert the Doll, out loud, and everybody's like, oh, Robert, yeah, that was his name, and so we were like, thank you for that. But past that, I don't think. I think there was a funny moment in Sensible Tunnel whenever we did the Estes method, where John and Christy were talking about what do you think of the bats, and I was down the other side of the tunnel, and we goof around a lot, so like I'm over there just screaming like a madman with these headphones on, everything that I'm hearing, and whenever they ask what do you think of the bats in the tunnel, because they were everywhere. I went vile, and they were all like, shit, like what, but it's, apparently they thought that, they were vile. But again, on that end, I think that for the most part, and John, can you think of anything? I think it's all been pretty inconclusive on the Estes method.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. That was the only thing I could think of. I thought it was, but from the other, like halfway down the tunnel, I thought you said bile.
But,
And
yeah.
I was like, oh, so he's feeling nauseous, but no, apparently they don't like the rodents flying through and pooping in their house, or if they're haunted there. I don't know. It was strange, but
Yeah.
we've not gotten anything conclusive out of the Estes method.
No.
Well, it's interesting you guys are saying this because it kind of, like I said, it kind of, I speculated all these years. I was like, I don't know how much I believe in this stuff, but I mean, knowing that you guys have done it in the field and you're also getting inconclusive results kind of makes me feel like a little vindicated, a little justified. But I guess I guess it's jury's still out on that one. But have you guys played around with any of the Tesla Spirit radios for doing any kind of EVP sessions?
I can't say that we have.
Mm-mm.
Our resident mad scientist here, Old Man Builds, I'm trying to convince him to build me one of those Spirits radios from Tesla. Did you look at the plans for that one yet, Nathan?
I have, and I do have everything here to build it. I just got to put it on my schedule to build.
Yeah.
If you'd quit building those Tesla coils, please, sir, and proceed with Baker's,
Yeah, no, my request should go to the top of the line.
Pretty cool. Y'all should definitely check out Old Man Build's channel. He builds Tesla coils and teaches people how to do them and tests them and shows how they work and stuff. It's actually very fascinating, along with a whole lot of other stuff as well. But yeah, you should definitely make sure you check that out.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, in the paranormal world, the Tesla coils, they're able to manipulate, I guess, the electricity coming out of that. Is that the way I understand that?
Oh, yeah. Manipulate the electricity. Anything that could be in resonance with it, we'll find it right away. It'll start moving around the room, things like that. Yeah, you can pick up a lot of stuff, man. Make you feel good, make you feel bad right away. If there's interference in the room, you'll feel it immediately.
Okay, we'll have to put that on our grocery list for everything.
Yeah, I found an Instructables link.
All right, awesome. Yeah, we're definitely Bob the Builders around here. So,
Hey, that's a good thing. One thing I do have to ask is why the hell does Robert the Doll always have to come up?
No, you're right.
Because he loves you.
I don't know what you need to ask, like thank him or whatever it is that you have to do.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. And I am
Thank you,
mailing
Robert.
both of you lovely ladies those Robert the Dolls.
No.
You know, those ones from the Key
Hey,
West.
Bobby.
Yeah, you'll be calling Bobby before you know it. Boy, that's the creepiest
I'm
thing in the
moving.
world. But he's awesome. I love Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert.
You're a shrimp. So.
I think dolls are just inherently creepy to
Yeah.
that kind of
Uncanny Valley.
yeah, like a human form, trying to get it as close as possible, and some people get a little too close, and I think dolls are just kind of weird, so it's just really easy for that to come up. And
Have you ever
everybody's a
seen?
doll.
Have you ever seen Robert in real life?
No, we have not, but it's definitely on our list to get out there. So it's
Well,
yeah.
Key West should be on your list regardless of
But
anything.
we're using this as any reason to travel. So it's
Right. I mean, yeah, you're going to have a lot of fun. So I went through that museum once, and yeah, and that thing, it's just, I mean, it gives you the EBGBs. Just you don't even want to look at it. You kind of side eye it, and it's like, oh god, that to me is the creepiest one.
It's the material of it. Yeah, it's definitely an unsettling doll.
Yeah, it's very creepy, and the whole story behind it too is just it's a really creepy story that goes behind. We did a whole episode on possessed dolls one night, and it was pretty fun. And KJ, she made me promise her that I would buy her because they sell Robert the Dolls, that you can actually send them. So she's getting one in the mail for Christmas this year. Don't you worry, KJ.
But you know what? I still have an old porcelain doll that I used to that I had since, and I grew up loving those because my grandmother and my great aunt all into those porcelain dolls, and which they weren't haunted or anything, but they can be creepy if you're not into them. Interesting. Anyway, I love hearing what you guys do. I think it's super cool.
Well, thank you. I think
Yeah.
I think we kind of go in with the motto of, we meet a lot of other, and we consider them friends. We meet a lot of other paranormal groups, and I think that we're a little bit unorthodox comparatively. And it's just because, for us, especially in a research standpoint, we're kind of a group of former corporate management, leadership, middle management, the whole group is, and so we're very analytical. So in our terms of doing things, whenever you hear about the paranormal, there's all these rules about how to handle the paranormal, which is kind of contradicts the word paranormal. So, it's anything without the realm of normal. So if you're going to do research, you have to kind of think outside of the box and really test those theories. And I would encourage anybody, if you're trying to yield any kind of true results, it's that you really need to actually get in there and try everything. And I don't mean antagonize or be disrespectful, but just think outside the box a little bit too. I think the team was looking at me like I was crazy because I pulled out a Quest 3 and put it on my head at the Euro Shrine, and there's a feature in it where you can measure everything and do bump mapping and see if there's any objects in the way. And so I was actually testing to see if there's anything not visible to the naked eye that would pick up as an object that would be directly in the way, and we didn't find anything on that end too. But again, be silly, and have fun with it as well too, because it should be fun.
Well, what's your thoughts on the couple that's done all the horror stuff, and what's their name?
Talking about the Warrens.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the Warrens?
You're going into dangerous territory, and I don't even think John and I have even really discussed this. I'm not a huge fan of the Warrens.
Okay.
I do think that was kind of the beginning of a lot of sensationalism,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of just
dollar bills,
making that money.
Yeah, extreme sensationalism, and
Mm-hmm.
and selling a lot of horror that wasn't there. If you go into the history of the Warrens, and again, I'm sure it will probably piss a lot of people off, or at least I will, and I'll take that. But it's, I think that, they preyed on very vulnerable people. And instead of helping them, they showed up at the last minute. Because, if you take like, what is the Enfield incident in the UK, there was actually paranormal groups working on that for a long time. The Warrens showed up for maybe less than a day, were thrown out, and claimed that they were the ones that handled it, which wasn't true. So it's important that we distinguish that. I don't really buy the Warrens. Now, here's the thing: I love the movies. I think that the Warrens
great movies.
I mean, come on.
But outside, and I think it's always. I think that it's. On that end, I think it's always important to just have people's best interest in mind too, because a lot of what we deal with is not always paranormal. A lot of it could be a very poor mental state.
Sure.
And we've had cases like that where we haven't even shared some of those cases where they were horrific, but not in the sense of being paranormal. We were dealing with somebody that was not well, and trying to reference them to get help, and even to the extent of calling family and be like, hey, this person's not well. And we try to have fun with it. We try to go down that route of being fun and being lighthearted. But every now and then you get a phone call and it's like, hey, I'm possessed by something, and you're not, unfortunately, but or fortunately that you're not.
Fortunately, but it's really cool that you would take the extra
not possessed.
the step. But it's really cool that you would take the step to reach out to someone's family, because I mean, mental health for sure.
Mental
I'm
health,
sure you see that.
Yeah, it's such an epidemic right now, and on our team we take it very personally. I think one of the best things that John and I heard, especially at our first convention that we did, was you guys are the first group to really sit down and talk to us and just listen to us, because our whole thing about our conventions is that we will set up our booth, set up our recording sessions, and you can come and just tell us anything weird that's going on, or if you want us to come look at it, we'll come look at it if we can immediately get out there. But on that end, we have a lot of folks that don't record, that don't want to be public with their story, but they're saying, I want to talk to my family about this, but they're never going to believe me. And I think that's vitally important on that end too. And where we kind of get at with the bro part of our name is, we have a female team member, and she's a bro too. We always say everybody's a bro.
Hey, we're bros, man.
Everybody's a bro.
I do like the name. It's
super good.
I had to explain to KJ before the show. I was like, what
he
a
really
Wendigo was. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I had to research.
Understand.
I had to look it up for myself, and I was like, "Oh, okay.
Right.
I got it.
We're the good side of the Wendigo, but it's
Cool." Yeah.
Hey, so real quick, we do want to thank everybody who is watching out there. I know there's a bunch of people watching over on Gutters Pub and Old Man Bill's LW, Traveling Fools over here, and people watching on X. No matter where you're watching that, we really do appreciate you tuning in tonight. It is always great to have you guys. Without you guys, this would just be a conversation amongst us, and we would probably still do it, but we like having you be here regardless. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I love these topics. One thing, Baker, you want to go on ahead? You want to open that phone line, don't you?
Yeah, I actually have the phone line open.
Okay,
Nice.
so what we'll do, Baker's already got the phone line open. The number is 775-644-0664. 775-644-0664. It's up in the top right of the stream as well. We're going to keep having our conversation, but if anybody would like to call in and weigh in, give their story, ask questions to the Winda Bros, anything like that, you are more than welcome to do that now. Baker, you want to tell everybody how the phone lines work?
Yeah, so just remember, we've only got, we don't have call waiting on this for a reason. We don't want people beeping in all the time. So when you hear somebody on the call, the line's busy. When you hear somebody hang up, you're available to call in. Keep trying. I know that I do see the missed calls whenever I finally get off the line. So I do see that some people are calling, but I just encourage you to keep trying whenever you hear the phone lines become available. Please don't put us on speaker, and please turn down your stream all the way so that we don't hear the echo. But more importantly, don't put us on speaker. You got to pick up the handset. You got to talk to us. Otherwise, we're going to hear a delay. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can't call us from out of the country. That means you, Jamaica.
Remember how we were talking about Art Bell earlier? Remember how he would have his whole spiel just like Baker, instructing people how to call in. He's like, do not, and he would be all grumpy about it. That was awesome. So let me ask you this. Y'all said you like Art Bell. Who was your favorite Art Bell caller?
So for me, it was, and I cannot think of her name to save my life right now, but there was, and what I loved about Art was that, one, he listened to it and he didn't really dismiss it, but he actually gave him the time to speak and acknowledge it. It was this one phone call that in fact, there's two phone calls I can think of, but one of my favorite calls that he ever got was from a lady that had a ghost list or leave a message on her answer machine. And it was one of the most eerie sounding inhuman things. And this is during a time where you really couldn't, I suppose, fake it as well as you could now. And just hearing Art, just, in listening to his voice, you could tell he had goosebumps listening to it. And it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. And I would encourage anybody to look that up, but it's Art Bell. And you can find it on YouTube and everywhere. But it's Art Bell takes a phone call about a ghost leaving essentially a voicemail on an answering machine.
I vaguely remember that.
It was incredibly eerie. And then there was another one where a man, I think, had escaped from Area 51, and he was trying to be a whistleblower. And as Art is talking to him, the phone cuts out. Whether it was faked or not, it was very very believable the way they handled it. It was incredibly compelling.
Yeah, I always like it's cliche to say, because it's the famous ones, but the what was his name? Madman Markham, Madman Mike Markham, or whatever it was, the time traveler guy. That was always fascinating that he just disappeared in the end. And, you don't know if these people, but like you said, the fact that Art Bell, he gave them the platform, listen to their stories, and that was cool, and that's what made it neat.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you can still find Art Bell on archive.org and a lot of places too. And after Art Bell passed, I really didn't listen to it much after that, much more. It's not they still have very interesting topics. Occasionally, I'll still listen to it on Spotify for the newer episodes. But I used to love just listening to Art Bell gripe about grocery prices of the 90s and how he had to deal with it. So it wasn't always just supernatural. Sometimes he was just griping.
See, Baker, I lost interest with George Norrie. Baker, he likes George Norrie. George Norrie just didn't do it for me like Art Bell did.
George Norrie doesn't really hit the same like Art Bell did,
Well, and that's okay. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I mean, I like George Knapp too. I like the fact that there is a space out there on the airwaves still that gives this a platform. Now,
Absolutely.
would I rather people come to us and listen to us? And absolutely. But George Norrie and George Knapp and all those guys, I do like them.
Yeah,
I think it was the one George Norrie episode, and it was the Pope's. They were doing an episode about the Pope's exorcist, who had done I think hundreds and hundreds of exorcisms, and I guess the Vatican truly believed this guy. And that he was the only one that was sanctioned to actually go out there and essentially be a renegade in the term of exorcisms. I can't reference that stuff immediately, but that was a pretty interesting episode.
Well, I'm still stuck on the whole. Was it Mel's Hole? Was that the one that we were that kept coming up in our feed?
Yeah, Mel's Hole.
Somehow that got stuck in our algorithm, and it just I don't know how many episodes of Mel Hole I've seen.
Yeah, those were great. Speaking of that, so we do have to touch on this, Nathan, old man. James's video today. What did you think about that? Should I play this?
Oh, God.
I know, Baker.
Do it.
Stand it. So y'all remember James, right?
Well, wait. Can we back up a little bit for our guests here? They may not know.
Okay. Do you want to give them the story? I think you should. I think you should tell them about this.
Oh God, I think KJ's better at doing it.
Oh my gosh, that's not true.
Okay, somebody go ahead and do it while I find this video.
He's a creep. Anyway, that's it.
All right, so basically, have you guys ever heard of what's the rod called again, Nathan? What is that darn thing called? The Booga sphere?
Some people call it the Jesus rod, spirit rod.
It's Booga sphere.
The Booga
I
sphere,
know.
whatever.
I know.
Gosh, don't call it.
All right, so
Gutters has a different name
Don't
for it.
call it that.
allegedly, there was
The silver. Just call it the silver rod.
Yeah, the silver rod.
Okay.
It was allegedly flying around, and it landed at this guy's feet. His name is James. He called into our show. Mm-hmm. He gave this whole spiel. The thing blew up. But anyways, he found this metal rod. He uncovered it out in the desert. He took it home. He did various tests on it, which, I give him credit. He's been pretty thorough. But I almost wonder if he didn't, and this is just me speculating. This isn't me throwing shade at it, but it's just, I wonder, did he look up, do research on the research he was about to do and see what kind of outcome he could possibly get and then make that up? I don't know.
Well, first of all, you missed the part where it's a flying rod.
No, I didn't miss that part.
It was in the basement, on.
Okay.
Oh no!
You two tell the story.
And then he had to dig it up out of 2 feet of sand. And
it was
and
flying
it was
at
hot.
him. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Long story short. Let me finish this out because we don't want to dwell on this for a long time.
Okay.
Long story short. So since finding this thing, he has done, all these tests and he's done these things. He's drugged this on and on and on. Now he's claiming, that he's getting shot at through windows, and then he's got a Mothman following him around, attacking,
the Mothman is
chasing
so
his car, and is giving off rashes and everything. So he did this video today where, this is all kind of a joke around here, which you got to understand. So he did this video today here where he was going to drill a hole into the rod. And let me see.
I'm excited because I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you make that big?
All right, so his sound effects on this are wonderful. And I do want everybody to notice the drill is turning. He changes it right there. Now watch, the drill's going to go backwards now. He's got it in reverse. See when he switched it, now it's going backwards. This is great. Here's your James update, all you people.
Look at that. No, I'm sorry.
What is happening?
And we caught shit for this, by the way. We caught shit.
Who?
We,
Don't ask.
all of us, we caught shit.
What's
We
wrong
did?
with him?
Oh Lord.
What's that sound?
What is he doing to himself?
Please stop
You know, I
it.
was actually going to say it kind of appears to be one of those certain kind of machines.
See?
I'm glad it's blacked
see,
out.
see. Oh,
Oh no!
What is happening right now?
So anyway,
We don't
I
want to
was-
know. That
So
sounds
anyway-
bad.
Is
this
that
video,
real?
this video goes on just pitch black for another like 30 minutes, and then
No
finally
way.
cuts off. Yes, I swear to God.
He goes for that long?
So
Yeah, like
that's
another 30 minutes. Yeah, he goes for that long. Yeah, they definitely charged.
stop it.
Letters.
That is so wrong. I can't
Yeah.
handle this.
that's, I don't know about this.
So,
I like.
So
he's
what
like,
is he
he's
trying-
like,
can-
oh no, I'm sorry.
so are you trying? Can I just layman's terms? Was he pretending to like drill into it, and then it like something reacted?
Yes, of course.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I did see
And then the
when he
lights
first
went
starts to
out
drill.
and it did something to him.
When he first starts to drill, like you can see him hit the drill and it goes, turns clockwise like you would drill into something. Then you see him touch the button on the bottom. And that's when I was like, wait a minute, let me look at this. And I sent Nathan the video. I'm like, in slow motion, I'm like, look at this. He switches it right there. It's actually going counterclockwise. And in reverse, drilling into that, which so it wouldn't be, yeah, anybody who's run a drill in their life knoes what the hell I'm talking
I
about.
even know what the
So,
hell you're talking
yes.
about. Okay.
I mean, I like James. Shout out to James. He, got us a lot of crazy talk.
Man, what's more disturbing is the sound we were hearing when it went dark.
It
I
was,
mean, that was one of those
Y'all,
you have the lotion
y'all.
type of things. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all saw the basement. Can,
Yeah, so,
is this
yeah.
needed conversation?
that was definitely a dungeon.
Yes.
I didn't
This
see any
was
mud
this
down
was
there.
Thank you.
this was Gutter's prophecy
Yeah,
coming.
even he
coming to
thinks it's a
fruition.
dungeon. That's
Thank
I can't
you.
believe
creepy.
we put it on here. This should
I
have
think
just
the- I
been
think the
for
other
my
notable
channel
thing is-
only.
This
The other-
is. Mm-mm.
All right.
I can't believe I
there's
just
your,
saw
yeah, exactly. There's your James update. R.I.P. James. It was good knowing you.
Wait,
so-
wait. Have you heard from him since? I mean,
No.
has he posted another video since
No, that was today.
he
Yeah,
got
this
his
was
No,
just
he
a little
posted
while.
that today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he
when
left
wait,
the link.
But the other, I have questions. Just a minute.
Thank you. Exactly. Right.
Okay, at the end of the video, does he just like?
No, it
does
just goes
shut off?
away. Yeah, it just shuts off.
So
Yeah, nothing.
you never hear anything for like 30 minutes. It's just
Well, he
pitch
was
black?
aware enough to end the stream.
Somebody ended it. Maybe the object ended it. You never
The
know.
silver.
after it washed up, or
Right, it went and took a shower.
Oh,
Came back, ended the stream. It was like, let me
Y'all.
poke this.
Here
right
we go.
hand.
Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
anyway.
going to keep this clean, folks. We're going to keep this clean.
No.
Too
Phone
late.
lines are
It's
open,
too
though. If anybody
much.
wants to jump in and join, 775-644-0664. Yeah, you can not talk while I say the phone number, though, if you want to, though, KJ. 775-644-0664. Anybody want to call in and ask any kind of questions, give us your input, anything like that, you are more than welcome to call in. Phone lines are open. Pick up your dang phone if you want to.
okay. Now I'm going to say it.
Okay, say it.
You, why
No,
I
wait.
oughta. No, I'm
come
just
here, come here, TF, come over here. I'm gonna
No,
slap
but
you
seriously,
for her.
call in. This is the time to call in. We've got the Window Bros to because we've had some great stories call in. We've had some good people call in. I think if
We've
you've had some
really good ones.
experiences, tonight is the night to call in. We have people who have more
Tonight.
experience than just us talking about the stuff
So,
we've
Baker-
experienced.
Baker, explain to the Window Bros what happened a little bit. You know how to explain it better than I do. When James called in our first show and our video ended up being clipped and we got all
Yeah.
kinds of hell.
This was I'm blaming
Well,
old man Bilge for
Bill's
this
got all
one.
kind of hell.
Yeah,
He caught all
yeah.
the hell. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, yeah, just these bigger YouTubers went to Old Man Bill's channel and started clipping it out, and then we were just getting bashed because they don't understand. Like, we're just here to have a good time, and for whatever reason, James decided to call our show out of all the ones that are out there, and they clipped our interview. I was trying to keep it professional because I realized, this guy, he sounds serious
Yeah, but
on the phone.
in our defense, he came into a Gutter Pub's channel.
He did. He came in through your
and
gutter.
then said things that, I mean, what is it? What do you expect anything else?
Well, first of all, we didn't know he came in through the Gutters Pub until we asked him, and then things started making more sense. But like, we got absolutely crucified in some of the comments. I think, old man, you had to delete it and re-upload it without comments, right?
Oh yeah. Well, you couldn't have somebody come in with something that looked like that and start describing the size over there, and Gutters not start smiling. Okay.
Oh, she got a big old.
We all got the giggles.
Well, he had the size down to like centimeters. I mean, I
do you
rounded
still remember
it off
what it
to
was there,
inches,
Gutters?
You still have it in your mind what it was?
31 and a half inches long.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
5.5 inches in diameter.
I
Are
don't
you
remember
being
how
for
many.
real?
I'm serious as a heart
Oh
attack.
my god!
I don't remember how many views it got up to, but it's probably about 100,000, maybe more. I haven't checked, but it got up there, and yeah. Anyways, that was Nathan's fault.
Yeah.
His whittle wad trip
Well,
says.
Oh my god, I should upload his last couple minutes of the blank screen on there, man. Oh, that's the best. I'm sorry.
his
He went out in
demise.
style.
I'm sorry, I got bad vibes from that dude. There's some bad.
His
juju.
demise right now has 14,000 views. So a lot of people wanted to see the end. I'm curious to see what'll happen next. Not really. But yeah, so anyway, enough about James.
Yes.
So
please.
have you guys been following like that 3-Eye Atlas at all, Winter Bros?
Yeah. So we actually talked about that in like our second Saucers Over Appalachia episode, and I think that for one, I think we all got so tired of hearing about it,
Right?
And, it was kind of plaguing us to the point where we kind of had to talk about it, and we had a lady actually tell us her story about her run-in with a UAP, and it was a very compelling story. And it was one that, and her name has slipped my mind right now. Do you remember her name, John?
No, I really can't. And I was thinking, what was it?
I don't want to say Hannah. Now, Hannah was the other one, but it was so for her, she had actually seen, I guess, a UAP while she was laying out in the field that was the size of what she equated to be 3 football fields long, and then what did she say, like 40 stories high? Yeah. And she said that this was in North Carolina, and it was passing over her head and going into the ocean, and she was very like no nonsense, no bullshit, and she was very adamant about what she had seen, and obviously, we weren't there. There's no way for us to really gauge that. It was a long time ago, but that was one of those situations where, like, okay, I believe that you believe what you're saying. As far as like the 3-Eye Atlas, I'm compelled to believe that it is essentially just an anomaly, and it came from interstellar, space, and everything out there that's interstellar is, going to look a lot different than what's in our universe currently. Now, as far as how they can gauge it, I'm not so sure. I personally don't believe that it's a UAP. I think I worry more so about, one, the psychosis behind it and the people that do adamantly believe it. And the other thing that I worry about is, and I'm not sure how political I can get on here, but government psyops on that end too, and how they can possibly twist something like that. I know in our episode, whenever we were talking about 3-Eye Atlas, was that if this were to show within our atmosphere, and there was documents speaking about it, it was a certain percentage of the Earth's population due to staunch religious beliefs that we would be looking at 8 million people committing self-deletion, if that's what you want to call it, just from the system shock of seeing something like that, if we were to have something truly alien show up. But as far as Three Eye Atlas goes, personally, I believe that it's just a broken anomaly. As far as I've yet to see a video that hasn't been faked with the light showing on it. I do know that, with the government shutdown, with NASA not releasing pictures, and I believe China's Space and Aviation Center not releasing any pictures of what it could be, was a little bit, damning in a sense that you could question it. We did have at one time an independent researcher that invited us to his laboratory to where he could actually, have us go and look through the telescope, and he could prove that it was alien. And then whenever we agreed to actually go, he ghosted us, and we never heard anything from him on that end. So I'm not even sure if he was expecting us to actually agree to it, but we're kind of a crazy group. We'll agree to anything if it's weird. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I'm not buying into the crazy thing. Big Rock Baker found one of the craziest people online talking about it. That was absolutely hilarious. Some guy on TikTok.
Boy, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that was funny. What were you saying there, Nathan? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I just had a question. They have a Hopi Indian legend about it coming through the solar system. So I was just wondering if there was any paranormal activity or anything like that people have called you about, and maybe ask questions because of that legend.
No, nothing like that. Typically if we get calls, it's usually your traditional, I'm haunted, or I've seen Bigfoot, but nothing within the realm of that. I hope that they do. I really do, but nothing on that end.
I got another question. Do you ever have somebody like just outright try to fool you, like maybe standing on the other side of the wall whispering stuff, or like have a speaker in the room or anything like that?
So we always check for that, and in the Euroshrine, we adamantly checked on that. So like we pointed out anything that looked to be a camera that could be watching us, anything that could be a sound device, anything like that. If we do investigations, it's simply solo. Whenever I say solo, it's just our group. We try not to do anything like that. We've been invited on certain paranormal investigations, and again, this isn't to cast stones, where we've been told that, if we're going to be a part of a film or anything like that, then we need to sell it or react in a certain way. And we've always adamantly disagreed with that. We said, we'll be in it, but we're going to be the Linda Bros on that end. And we're going to do this as well as we can. If we want to be entertaining, then we'll crack a joke or two, but we're not going to run around screaming or anything like that. It's just, we try to be as organic as humanly possible on that. I think that the only time we've ever had anybody try to sell us a narrative was actually a child, in which John actually dismissed that pretty quick. So we had a story where a child came to us, and he was out in the woods hiking with his father, and he had witnessed he had heard a howl, and then found a dead deer, and there appeared to be an upside down triangle carved in it, to which he believed that it could have been sacrificed on that end. And then we didn't necessarily buy that story. And I think like immediately after that, like he came to John, saying, well, I can tell you a story about a large panther I've seen in my backyard. And John,
I don't mean to interrupt you. We do have a caller on the line.
Oh, awesome.
And I do think you would be fascinated with this caller. She always has a lot of stuff to talk about, and I think she's probably got some good questions for you. But we do have Gypsy from Oregon. Welcome in, Gypsy from Oregon. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. I've been watching the show and joining in the chat.
Where's
Hey,
my
girl.
sandwich? Where's my sandwich, Gypsy? I have been waiting on you to bring me that bologna sandwich with Miracle Whip.
Well, darling, if you watched my latest video I dropped, you would have heard me explain that I've had some pretty serious migraines for the last 4 days, and I just can't focus when I've had them. But I've been trying to put them in your locker, and if you haven't found that brown paper bag with that bologna sandwich in it by now, it might be moldy.
I've been hey, Wonder Bread nor bologna molds, so I don't think Miracle Whip does either. So I'm good. I'll keep looking for it.
Guarantee
I'll
it.
keep looking for you. I found Wonder Bread in the bottom of a fishing boat, 6 months later, and that stuff still, it's like a McDonald's cheeseburger. It's just still perfect. So what do you got for us tonight, Gypsy?
Right. Well, I've been listening to the topic, and I when I first hopped on, you guys were talking about Zach Bagans, and the irony of the Zach Bagans story is I used to like watching Zach Bagans, but when I first got into the paranormal, actually watching it on TV, but then I saw how they were really manifesting a lot of, they were faking a lot of it, and then they were using the wrong terminology, and so I just kind of got bored with it. So I stopped watching it for a long time, right? And then one day I was scrolling through YouTube, and for some reason I saw one of their shows, and I figured let me just pop on here real quick just to see what's going on in the chat. Because I've been looking for a paranormal group that would go with me on my adventures and use their technology to verify me and what I experience. Because I don't use technology. I use old school. I use dowsing rods. I use a pendulum, and I use my own senses because I'm a psychic medium. So I don't use the technology stuff they use. Their EVP recorders and all of that stuff. That's not me. But I would love to hook up with a group. So I was looking for a group, and I found this woman on there who was the Kentucky Paranormal Research Group, and I started talking to her, and I kept going, why did I meet you? There was a reason why we met. Something, I don't believe in coincidence. There's something connected us. You know what I mean? Because I was not even supposed to be looking at Zach Bagans' show, because I don't watch that stuff. So after talking to this woman for almost a year, she started talking about her mother who had passed, and how she was wanting to contact with her mother and to see if I could help her because I'm a medium. So I started working with her on contacting her mother. And after talking to her mother through the pendulum, I had discovered that her mother was actually my spirit guide, and that her mother was the one that had me stop onto Zach Bagans' show to find her. So it's been a great relationship. I mean, I talk to her all the time. I've been to her house in Kentucky on one of my journeys, and we've been very good friends ever since. And her mother, Ellen, is my spirit guide that I get answers from whenever I have, questions from the spirit realm.
So what exactly is a spirit guide? A lot of listeners, and maybe even me, am not quite fluent on that. What exactly is a spirit guide?
Okay, so you have to first understand the difference between the physical realm and the spirit realm. Okay, the spirit realm is where anything that's not in the 3D realm is. Okay, so they're not necessarily ghosts. They're definitely not demons. Okay, they're not, no such thing as demons. They're just entities from someplace else, and they might just be hungry. Okay, when I say spirit guides, when you make your soul contract to come here to take this journey on Earth or in any physical form, you make a soul contract. And part of that soul contract is a spirit guide, which would be somebody that is, like, say, in the 5th dimension. You can't see them, you can't hear them, but you just know they're there, like your guardian angels. Some people call them guardian angels. But they're in that spirit realm. They're not attached to a physical body. That's the best way I can explain it. Does that make sense to you? If I lost you, please let me know.
No. Kia, proceed.
Okay. So when you take that soul contract, somebody in the place we come from agrees to be your spirit guide. Okay, so every time that, let's say, You were about to step off that sidewalk and something stopped you for a second and held you back. And if you had stepped off, you would have been hit by that car, right? That person or that thing that held you back, that was your spirit guide protecting you. You know, that little nudge that we all get now and then, that, you know, sometimes people will describe it as my intuition or my instinct, or suddenly I get all the hair just stood up on my body and I just had this sense that I better not do that. I better do this.
Or God,
and lo and
because
behold,
it's the Holy Spirit.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes. It's
right. Everyone has
it's,
their own, right.
Right. So for me, this is how I explain it because, again, you guys have heard me talk before. I've crossed over so many times that they don't even do a oh Lord, hold on a minute, I'll get the words. Oh shoot, I can't think of the words right now.
Bird?
When I get
well, I do have a
no.
Okay.
Well, I thought
Go ahead.
bird was the word.
Bird is the word. No. Can I say, I do want to say, do you, because
sorry,
I really,
it just came to me. I had to let it out or I'd lose it.
What was it?
Life review. So when you leave your physical world and you go to the fourth level, which would be the astral plane, you're basically, when you leave your body, you're going into a room that's basically all white. There's no, you can't tell where the floor ends and the ceiling begins or the walls begin. It's just pure white. And there's nothing in this room but a table, a little book on the table, and a pencil. And you go through a life review and you review everything that you ever did and the people you affected along the way. That's a life review. And because I've died so many times that they don't even do a life review on me anymore.
They're like, yeah, you know, we're
They
good.
just do an update.
Yeah, an
Okay,
update.
since the last time you were here, here's
can
how
I
this
say
shit's going down.
So, can I wonder if you have anything that that our guests can hear that you've experienced that maybe they can. I'd love to hear their take on it. That you've personally experienced.
The most recent was today.
Girl,
I was sitting here by myself in my trailer. I mean, I was literally completely alone. Didn't even have the dog here. It's been raining outside, so there's nobody walking around. I'm here at the casino in a pretty much empty parking lot. So there's nobody around, right? And all of a sudden, I heard like somebody sniff, like, you know what I mean? Like they took a big line of, you know what, you know?
I was going to say that never, that never happens in trailer
I was like,
parks.
were you in the bathroom at the casino?
Right.
No, I was sitting in my trailer and I
kidding.
heard that sniff and it came from my bathroom and I had to get up and look and I'm like, I thought my daughter had left and she had. And I'm like, I knew my roommate was gone. And it's like, I'm here by myself, but I swear to God, I heard somebody like take that big deep sniff today. I'm like, okay, I'm not alone.
Sweet Jesus.
Funny thing is I was using my pendulum board earlier and I was actually talking to Michael Jackson.
You were so you were talking to the King of Pop. Now you got to proceed.
Well,
so
no, because I want to know, was it true?
What are you talking about?
Was what?
What do you mean that Michael did? Was it all true?
What? His nose was not real.
The only thing I asked him today, I'll tell you what I asked him. I asked him if he overdosed on purpose, and he said no.
Okay. Well,
then I said, did your doctor have something to do with you taking too much medication? And he said yes. So those were pretty much the only two things that I asked him.
Next time, ask him whatever
if you guys
happened.
Ever want it.
Do me a favor. Next time, ask him whatever happened to Jermaine.
Oh my gosh.
What happened to who?
I'd love
Jermaine, his bro. What?
I said, I'd love to know what his thoughts were on the movie trailer. That's good.
I'm sorry, my dog is whining in the background.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Windabro,
I have my pendulum
hang
board
on a
and my
second.
pendulum, and if there's any questions you guys have, I could ask. And, like one of these days you ought to have me on the show, and that way you guys could watch it live.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. Windabros, do you have any questions for Gypsy? I mean, she's quite intriguing here.
Well, so one of the things that I picked up on were you had stated that you had passed multiple times. Now, do you think that? So, and if you're comfortable sharing that, do you think that the way that you perceive things, did that change after you passed? And would you call that NDEs? And for anybody listening, an NDE is a near-death experience. So do you think, did you have this ability before these times that whenever you passed, or did this happen after the initial passing, or did you have an NDE that awakened this in you?
Okay, I would say that I already had psychic abilities before my first NDE, which was at 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I fell out of a moving vehicle, and I hit the base of my skull on the ball hitch, and I was dead in the street for about 15 minutes. When my dad found me and picked me up, he's like, "You were blue, and you took a deep breath, but you didn't wake up, so we took you to the hospital, where I lied in a coma for 3 days. And then when I woke up, I knew things that a 7-year-old shouldn't know about the universe, about life, about things in general that a 7-year-old shouldn't know. They were after me for Project Stargate. And my father sold the house in town and moved me into isolation so that I could grow up with some kind of normalcy. But I was isolated. Yeah. One of the problems with having this gift is sometimes your parents are ignorant about it. And I think my dad was more afraid of me than anything, even though I was not out to hurt anybody.
So do you always feel
my
that
abilities.
do you always feel that it is a gift? Have you ever felt that it wasn't a gift, that it was more of a burden? I don't want to say the word curse. Well, I didn't want to say that word. That's the thing. But have you ever felt that way?
A burden? You know what? Again, I refer back to the fact that we all made a soul contract of, okay, so like when I talk about a soul contract, let me explain it to you. What you did is you went to a travel agent and you made a travel itinerary to come to planet Earth and to have certain experiences while you're on Earth. Okay, so basically when you made that soul contract, you were basically setting your travel itinerary. So everything that you are experiencing and every little bit of your being that you are in human form, you had planned on that to be. And as you grew and evolved, you were to experience different things so that you could get the maximum out of your trip. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it certainly does. So on that end, that typically follows a lot of the principles of what they call, reincarnation. And essentially there's a lot of, especially new age beliefs out there, that there is a lot of recycling of what they call souls. We had an interview with somebody named Natalie, and she was what she called herself was a UFO experiencer. And I'm
one of them too.
Okay, yeah. So that's kind of what perked my ears up, is that a lot of folks that claim to be UFO experiencers also talk a lot about the things that you talk about. And we're supposed to go out there with her soon and test that theory out, that she's able to summon down UAPs and UFOs. And this is somewhere in Middle Tennessee. And so it does kind of perk my ears up on that end, and that was going to be my next question is, do you believe that what you feel is something extraterrestrial? Because you hear theories all the time that I guess human beings are essentially vessels for a soul, or essentially containers, and then they're brought up. They choose what timeline they want to go into, which, I always find kind of ironic why you would choose a bad timeline that you would want to go to. I suppose it's to get the whole human experience on that too. And then another
I can answer that for you.
Well is essentially, and it's one of the few cases that we've had where John and I have actually believed it, and that was we'll call her Sophie because we had to change her name and voice, but she was out in Florida, and she contacted us to help us to ask if we could help her make sense of something called quantum immortality, where she had been shot and killed at a hotel, and whenever she came back, she immediately snapped back, and was everything was mostly the same, but things like her anniversary date weren't the same. Her past career wasn't the same. She still had the same job that she currently had in that timeline.
Mandela effect.
Not so much Mandela effect. It's close to that, but that's oversimplifying it a little bit.
That does simplify it. It really does.
So, the way
basically she jumped timeline, and she's the same person, but she's in a different time and place.
Yeah, and that was certainly a case that we had where we were where John and I essentially fell into a spiral ourselves, researching this whole thing. And there's a whole subreddit about folks essentially timeline skipping or what they also call, and I'm not sure if I can say that, but quantum self-deletion, to where if you were to make a negative approach to ending your time here, you would essentially end up in a lesser environment. So essentially everything would operate on frequency. So if you are a higher frequency person, you go through the trials of life and you pass naturally, you eventually ascend. And then if you were to live a negative life or make a negative choice, you essentially lower in that frequency. So
I would agree with that to a point, but see, now keep in mind, the frequency that you're in here in these bodies in the 3D plane, you only feel here in these bodies in the 3D plane. Mm-hmm. So once you leave this body, you're released. Okay, so it's like stepping out of your car and closing the door behind you. You no longer hear the radio. Okay, you're in a different frequency. You literally changed simply by stepping out of the car. And your body exactly is the vehicle for the spirit, which is energy. So once you're released from this, you're going back to the original vibration, which would take you up from 4D to 5D, which 4D is basically just the astral plane, which you do not have to die and leave your body to get into the astral plane.
Right.
You just need to know how to meditate.
Yeah, this is something I've looked into, and I'm curious because I really I get what you're saying, and I'm inclined to agree with you when you talk about that intuition, because I get a lot of gut feelings, and they usually turn out to be right. Not always, but they usually do. Sometimes I'm maybe just being paranoid. So that's very interesting to hear about. So when are we talking about like higher realities, higher dimensions, or is it just frequency based?
Okay, I can only share with you what I know because of my own personal experiences. Okay, right. So let me explain something to you. I've been suffering with a condition called AFib since I was 18, where I literally just dropped dead on the sidewalk, and I thought I was just fainting. And I went 30 years undiagnosed. They just thought I was fainting, where my heart was actually stopping and I was dropping dead. And I did this at least 3 times a year for 30 years. So I've got a very good experience with death. We're on first name basis. Right. Okay, we don't die. That's the point. Energy doesn't die. It just moves from one location to another. You may leave your body and you may have the option to be reincarnated back here on Earth, or you could choose to go someplace else. You don't have to do this again if you choose not to.
Wow.
Yeah, that's intriguing.
And when it comes to travel, I've been places you can only imagine. I had spoken to entities you can't even dream of. Okay, these beings are beyond anything of human imagination, and what's out there is again beyond human imagination. What we've got here is just primitive, but it's the point of being here is for learning, because as pure energy, we can't learn pain. We can't learn empathy because we can't feel pain. So this is why when we chose to come here, we chose all these difficult things to happen to us so we could experience them, so we could feel the pain and learn empathy so that we can become those higher beings. Okay, once we return back to the source.
Wow, that is deep and a lot to take in. Gypsy, so you got any last words? I mean, we're going on an hour and 50 minutes here right now. We do have to wrap up here shortly. You got any last things you want to say? Where can people find you at? I'm sure anybody in the chat that is a moderator, if you would drop Gypsy's channel, that would be awesome.
It's Crafting and Conjuring on YouTube.
There we go. Crafting and Conjuring on YouTube. If anybody could find that is a moderator and drop that would be awesome. Super cool. So, Gypsy, everything else going okay?
Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate that, because we're a young new channel. We've just got it started within the last couple of months, so I only have like 48 subscribers. A lot of them are here on Gutter's channel, so thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. But yeah, you guys really should go on and watch my videos. They're very enlightening, and you'll be able to see a little bit more of who I am, where I'm coming from, more about the UFO alien connection. There's some great videos on that too. So watch those Conjuring videos. And
will you
we also
please,
have a merch
hey,
store.
will you do me one favor? Wait a minute. Will you do me one favor? Will you please make a video of you making me that bologna sandwich?
Oh my gosh.
Is there any way possible we can make this happen?
It was so good to hear from you, Gypsy. Screw his bologna sandwich. He can make his own damn bologna sandwich.
Silence.
I know the silence. The first time I've ever gotten
But honestly, I always love hearing from you.
I win. Gypsy, though, thanks so much for calling in.
How I do this is when I get ready to go to bed at night, I focus on something in particular that I want to do. Okay, so when I want to make you your bologna sandwich, I'm going to visualize that I'm in my kitchen making that sandwich, and then I'm wrapping it up and I'm putting it in a brown paper bag. And then all of a sudden I'm putting it in a locker. Okay? So it's up to you to go to your locker.
That's funny, because I would shove it.
I'm going to find that.
So when you go to bed at night, fools, you have to think about going to the locker.
About going
and
to the locker.
getting the sandwich.
I'm going to feel like I'm in an episode of Saved by the Bell.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, Gypsy, thanks so much for calling in. As always, we always do appreciate your calls.
Yes,
And, we love you over here, Gypsy. Thank you so much. Please don't, die on us.
Anytime, everybody.
Anytime
I'm
soon.
happy to call.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
There
Good
you
night.
go. Crafting
Bye-bye.
and Conjuring right there. Gypsy calling in. That was
She's
quite
great.
interesting. So, what's y'all's take on that?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
So, a lot of interesting points, and these are things that we've heard before. And I was thankful to hear John say this, because I was going to say it with, and he's a lot more eloquent than I am in that regard. Intuition. I think that everyone is born with intuition. When I hear the two words psychic and medium, and then especially hear them together, I always want to test that theory on that end. I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm not saying that it's not something that is something that's not factual. But I do believe to an extent that every single one of us have have a sense of clairvoyance in a way, and intuition would be the key word there too. Some people have it stronger than others. And then like John, whenever I get a certain gut instinct about things, I'm usually about 90% correct on my gut feeling, and I tend to ignore my gut feeling more than I should, and it comes back and bites me on that end too.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing she touched on as well too was it was about the NDE aspect of it too, and we hear a lot about that, particularly with NDEs, and not to. And I certainly didn't want to overshadow her stories at all either. I had a stroke whenever I was 30. Worked too much and worked out too much, and blood pressure got too high one night, and I had a stroke at 30, and I remember them loading me in the ambulance and everything going extremely white, and then feeling like I slammed back down to my body. Now on that end though, I did not come back with anything, remotely in the ways that she did, but I did feel a deeper connection to things that I ever had, and I don't even really mean that necessarily in a supernatural way or anything. Just a much deeper connection that I had life wrong up until that point, and I was living a great life, a very wealthy life at that point, but it wasn't the wealth that I was looking for, on a deeper level or a deeper connection of things. So I think that, there's something to be said to people that go through that, that you do come back a very different person, and you do come back with a very deeper understanding. Do I correlate that to, UFO experiencers or anything? I don't. But at that end, I can't really dismiss that either, because I think everybody has a different experience, hence the word near-death experience on that. I think that she's I think that she's extremely interesting. I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I'd love to talk to her further on that. And I certainly would love to talk to Michael Jackson. So.
Yeah, I think something she said that really stuck out to me, because I was born here in Northeast Tennessee. I've lived here all my life. My father was a minister, and a lot of people in this area are really raised real heavy in the church. This was a Baptist church, and one of the things that stuck out to me was this life review. Because one of the things that they used to always say in church was that, now you better watch what you do, because God's watching you, and when you die, you're going to come up here and God's going to play your entire life or in front of everybody. Like, we're going to watch your whole life from beginning to end. That was really scary as a child, and as I've grown up, it seems to me like it's kind of a fear tactic to get kids. It's like Santa Claus.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I repeat that? You said that you were raised to think that everyone would see. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. Because,
really?
Yeah, because like
wow.
The great rapture happens, and this was. I mean, there's a lot of really in-depth Bible Belt stuff that goes on around here, and
sure.
it was like when you die, you come up here. We wait until everybody's up here, and then we're going to watch everybody's life. And I was like, that's just, to me,
what?
How can you watch a billion people's lives, all their, 100, it'd take over 100 billion years to watch this. So as I got older and I grew apart from the church, because there were a lot of hypocrites.
I would have,
not all churches are like
I've never heard that,
but it just seemed to me like it was like a scare tactic. Like, you better be good, because Santa's watching you, and you won't get presents. And so that's a very interesting point that I wonder if it's something that has been gleaned from somewhere else along the way. Like if it's,
I think that all roads lead to the same ending, and I think that, and John's right about that, especially growing up in the Bible Belt, and the way Rick said it in our Euro Shrine interview with him was, we guys are living right in the buckle of it, of that belt around here. So there's a lot of, you tend to be a little bit ostracized. I think, and I know John and I talked a lot about this before. Personally, I'm a spiritual guy. I wouldn't say that I'm religious, but I do believe in, the teachings of Jesus, and at the same time, though, I'm also deeply embedded with Buddhism too. And I think a lot of those faiths go hand in hand. I think that if you're just a good person, you're going to end up in the same place. I don't think that whenever you die, that's it. And I know whenever I was talking to John, he was telling me that story about, you know, his grandfather. I said, well, I would see it that way, but I would see that whenever you die, you know, and if we're all made in the same image of God, then whenever we get there, we're going to see ourselves and we're going to see a reflection, and we're going to be the ones judging ourselves, you know, whether we like that picture or not. And I think that's a lot to gauge on that too. So, you know, I'll give Gypsy credit. You know, she definitely got us talking about philosophy.
Yeah.
Well, see, and I like what you said there.
So great.
One of the this isn't a problem I have, but I see this with a lot of people. Like, it's the whole "lest not ye judge unless ye be judged yourself." And
Yes.
you know, I've known a lot of great people of all different religions. I have my own, and you know, I don't push mine down anybody else's throat or try to tell anybody else they're right or wrong. But these people who think that they have the right to stand there on some pedestal and tell other people that they're going to hell or they're going to this or that, that to me is the most hypocritical thing you can possibly do. I've known, you know, my wife is from Indonesia. So, you know, we've met many, you know, Hindu people, wonderful people, many Muslim people, wonderful people, I've met some really, really shitty Christians in my life. And I'm sure there's really shitty other people, all different kinds of religions, but it's not my job to judge anybody else or
we're not the judge.
where their soul is going. So I like what you said there. I do like that.
Amen.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Amen.
Oh God, she's gonna bust out. She's gonna bust out. She's gonna be in that Carnegie Hall here in a minute. They're playing the Grand Ole Opry.
No, but it was interesting, and she made a good point with the book. It was good. It was a good good
No,
talk.
she's awesome. She's always good to hear
She's always
from.
has so much to say, and you got to absorb it. You got to
Right.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a
good.
lot to take in all at once.
Mm-hmm.
But Multi did drop her link over here in the channel. Thank you, Multi. Really do appreciate that. Real quick, old man, you had this coming over here from Mellow Alchemist. Wanted to make sure you saw that.
Oh, right on. Thank you very much, man. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Mellow Alchemist. Thank you for your support over there. That is super awesome. Yeah, we're going on. We normally try to keep these at 2 hours. We are hitting the 2 hour mark. What do we take away from this? Where are we at? Anybody got any last
Can I
words?
just say
Yeah,
I
go.
loved having you guys on. I think it's super interesting. I love what you guys are doing because my sister really watches a lot of the paranormal stuff. I'm into it. I think it's fun. I don't watch the shows or anything because I just don't. But I love that I've actually talked to you guys now because we talk about the paranormal stuff. So talking to you guys that actually are involved in it, totally cool. I'm so glad you guys came on. It was great.
Well, thank you so much for having us. And I won't speak for John, but I'm pretty sure I know what he'll say is, you know, I love coming on here. You guys were great. So we've had a great time.
Yep.
Cool.
Nail on the head.
Yep. Yeah, we always like having different people on, different stuff. Y'all are welcome to come back one night, you know, come back on again,
Absolutely.
touch base with us. Tell everybody
And John,
out there.
you too. It was great.
Yeah, tell everybody out there what y'all got coming up, where they can find you, your different social media. I will go back in after this video, all this kind of stuff, you know, like spur of the moment happened. I'll go back and add your social medias into the description of the video afterwards. I hope, Gutters, if you can drop their link, old man, if you do that as well.
Yeah, I have
drop
been.
their links into your chats there, and you know, everybody sub these guys.
I already
up.
subbed it.
Cool, give them some support.
Thank you so much.
Right. So, what do you got coming up? You know, tell everybody about. You know what I mean. You got it. Take it away.
We
Sir.
actually have quite an extensive 2026 that's coming up. We'll probably be at a few festivals. Right now, we're trying to get into Smoky Mountain Terror, which has been kind of a terror itself to try to get into that. We'll probably be at. We were just recently at TBR Con. We're scheduled to be back there next year. And then Fraggaween, which we were one of the. So Fraggaween is essentially a Halloween party. There's also a burlesque show there too, and
Ooh la la.
it's
So where's this at?
yeah,
Directions.
a lot of local artists, but it'll be in Bristol, Virginia. So we were thankful that they liked us so much that we'll be on the paranormal panel for them next year, and we will be one of the groups actually speaking about the paranormal. And that I believe SRS Paranormal will be one of the other groups that'll be speaking there too. So we're very thankful for that to them. We just released a new episode last night from somebody who told us a story of them having in which it's synchronicity is a hell of a thing. But he actually called in and talked to us about his time slip during Halloween and how his clock was saying 11 o'clock and he appeared and his mother never saw him come home. And it could have been that he was making it up and to get out of trouble. I don't know. But on her end, he hadn't been home since 4 a.m. It's a very interesting story, and that was actually an author by the name of Dorian J. Sennett. We have quite a few new episodes coming out with authors, and then also a very compelling episode with a young lady from England, where she will be discussing with us her run-in with a guardian angel that prevented her from being in a car crash.
Oh wow, that's cool.
It's going to be pretty exciting. We are getting ready to film more than likely a new episode out in Churchill, Tennessee, and that'll be at with another paranormal group by the name of Chasing Ravens, who claim that this is their own research area in one of the most haunted areas that they've ever been to. So they want us to go out and test that theory and see what we can find on that end. And I'm trying to think. There's so much going on right now, and then obviously the big one, the Euro Shrine, over a 2-hour-long episode, and then on Spotify we'll be releasing Rick Bunn's clean interview without all the extra footage on there too. So if you just want to listen to his interview, he's a wonderful speaker, very interesting guy. And in his own words, he's a 6'5" Irish Shinto monk. But he's the real deal, and we fact checked him a lot, and he turned out to be a legitimate guy and just a genuine friend of the Window Bros. So, but yeah, check us out. We have quite a bit of content, and then if you see us at a convention, stop by and talk to us, and you can look at all. We freely show off all of our case files as well too, so we don't hide any evidence. If we find something, we let everybody see it, and we're not ashamed of what we find. So,
no, and yeah, that's good. And like I said, it's good to look, stuff straight on, and figure it out so that the BS can get thrown aside, and then you can actually do something with the unexplainable, because that's what we all like, is what is unexplainable. That's what we want to see. Mm-hmm. There is a link right there. I got it. I put it in the chat as well. Please sub to and support our guest Wendigo here. Right there you go, at the Windy Bros, correct?
That's correct.
All right, there we go. Look at that. I can do it. I can do it. All right, so cool. Everybody do make sure they do that. Gutters Pub. You got anything cool coming up?
I don't really. Same old, Tuesday nights, do my thing. Sometimes Friday mornings, depends on the mood I'm in. So,
all right. Well, everybody make sure you sub up Gutters Pub so you can know what kind of mood a woman is in.
That's right.
That is very appealing. Everybody wants to just know what kind of mood a woman is in. Speaking of, KJ, what kind of mood are you in? You got anything cool coming up?
Hey, yeah, I've been doing some little local gigs, but I am gonna be putting some stuff out in the next week or two. Sub me up. It's some music. It's country music, southern rock, some stuff. So yeah, sub me up, and yeah, that's just gonna be doing my thing.
Well, where could somebody find you? Are they just going to sub you up, or
well, I mean, it has been posted throughout the show, but it is at at yes, Katie did, and that's Katie with a YB,
No,
not a YB, but
Just a Y.
with a Y, bitch. Okay.
Oh God, here we go.
Anyway, no, but seriously, sub me up. I am. I've got some more stuff coming up, so just yeah, cool. That's it.
It's worth
Had
a
a good
sub.
time.
Make sure you
It
go over
is.
there. Check out Yes, Katie Did. Old Man Builds, what you got coming up for us, brother?
Oh man, I pulled a bunch of stuff off my printer. I got a really cool build coming up. I'm actually, and I didn't say this to anybody on my chat yet, but I'm building a Dyson sphere. So I'm actually building a, how do I say it? It's the RAB. So it's basically like a mini sun that goes in the center. And then on the outside, I put a round coil out there and I wind it. And I'm trying to pick up the energy from the inside. So I have to match the frequency from the center to the outside in order to get it to go. And then I'm going to amplify the living daylights out of it in this inside and see how much pure energy I can pull out of it. And it's more like a fusion reactor in the way that it works. So it's pretty interesting. It'll be showing up on my channel here in the next few weeks. But that's kind of the big thing going on here, man. I've been working on that thing for a while.
Well, I saw you were diving back into your anti-gravity.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so that is fascinating to me too. So I can't wait to see that. Make sure everybody subs up Old Man Builds. All you got to do is type in Old Man Builds. He's the only crazy mad scientist that is going to come up.
You know, last time I had that thing going, it popped a little bit off the ground, man. So I'm excited to see what the new version does. I think we're going to get it in the air this time.
I'm excited as hell about that. I want to see that.
Yeehaw.
That is cool as hell to me. Baker, you got any last words for us there, brother?
You know, I think this was a fantastic throw together at the last minute episode. I really do appreciate both John and Doug taking their time out and kind of filling in on an emergency basis. So this turned out great. I really do appreciate you guys.
Likewise, thank you guys so much.
So cool.
Yeah, I've subbed up to all you guys. I'm curious to look into more. I think it's great.
Yeah, and we hope to have you back on too. Let's stay in touch. Don't we're going to end the show here in just a second. Don't leave just yet. Stay in the back because I'd like to swap out some contact information or something like that, so we could further do stuff down the road. So we're going to end this thing out. But we do want to thank everybody. There's 128 beautiful people watching right now, all across X, Old Man Builds over here, Traveling Fools, Gunner's Pub, LW's channel, even though LW we do, if you're listening, we hope your daughter's feeling better.
Can we all notice Baker's pulsating keyboard?
Oh, yeah.
It's always pulsating, girl.
I can't say much. Mine's doing the same thing in the background.
I love it.
I've been watching it off the whole time. So.
It's all about the aesthetic.
Yeah, at least you hide yours. Baker just throws it out there in your face.
That's right.
It's
He
just-
puts it right out there in the middle of the
I love
screen.
it. Okay. All right.
All right,
Awesome.
everybody, do be sure to hit the thumbs up button. It does help streams go out no matter where you're watching this at. It does really help. These streams go, get out there to other wonderful people just like you. As far as what we got going on, Sunday night trivia, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, real time, Gutters, real time Eastern Standard Time. We got trivia night coming up. And other than that, please say goodnight to us in the chat. We're going to go out to something cool. And I do want to say, guys, thanks for coming on. You were great guests, and we really do appreciate you. Subbed up. Please, everybody do make sure they go over there and sub up to these guys. Great Window Bros. Awesome channel. Glad to meet you guys and hang out, like I said, for a second in the back, and we can swap some info. Everybody out there, happy Friday night.
Good night.
Thank y'all.
Can we get one more whoop whoop?
Whoop, whoop.
All right, there we go. Good night, everybody. Say good night to us in the chat. We'll see you soon.